welcome to another episode. I've got my friend Mel Kettle along again with me today. Hi Mel.
Hey Amanda.
Thanks for coming.
Cheers. Thanks for inviting me.
You're very welcome. I'm really happy to be continuing your champagne education.
I'm very happy that you are as well.
Today I've got something, I've decided, because you were mentioning that you found it hard sometimes to distinguish which flavours are in there.
Yes.
Which grape. And we were having a discussion over lunch about the different grapes giving a different characteristic to the wine. So the easiest way to explain that to someone is having a champagne that's only made from one grape.
Right. Okay.
So this champagne we're tasting today is Blanc de Noirs.
Okay.
And that means white from black, because actually there are two varieties of grapes that they use to make champagne that have black skins. But the flesh is white, so the juice is white. So
I actually knew that. I was always really confused as to why I'd buy champagne or sparkling wine and it would say from a Pinot Noir grape. And I think, but my Pinot Noir wine is red.
Yeah.
So how do they get white champagne or sparkling?
Because the flesh is
Now I know.
white. Yeah, the flesh is white. And actually Pinot Noir red wines are lighter.
They are. Yes.
So because the skin is left in contact with them and to get that red colour. So it's a very interesting. Anyway, so I've got this Blanc de Noirs for you, which is obviously from Pinot Noir grapes only, this one. And it comes from a little producer. I'm very fond of the smaller growers, and why I'm showing you these is because these are champagnes that you can't find everywhere. You have to go to a specialist shop. That's like a wine merchant. What's interesting about the smaller growers though, it really is, their champagnes are really an expression of their land, because they're not buying the grapes in from anyone else. It's exactly what their farm, if you will, is giving to them. So what their particular plot of land and the sun exposure and the soil drainage and everything, the microclimate that they are in, give them.
I find it really interesting that Champagne is such a small geographic area, but can have so many different microclimates within that little tiny geographic space, and then produce such different flavours of what is essentially the same grape. Because I'm assuming they have a very stringent process they need to use in the processing of champagne grapes.
Yes,
So they all have to follow almost the same
They have
process.
to, where the microclimate comes into it a little bit more is they have committees that work during the season to decide when the harvest will be. And so different regions, depending on the acidity and the ripeness of the grapes, are allowed to start harvesting at different times.
So they get told when they have to harvest.
Yeah, they get told. They can't know. They can do they get told when they're allowed to start harvesting.
Okay.
If they want to wait a bit longer, they can. It's up to them, but they're not allowed to start harvesting
Until they're told.
before the date that the committee decides. It's a huge.
And how do they email them? Like, you wouldn't want to forget or have your email go down, would you?
Yeah, and I'm sure there's some very intricate system now. It was probably by express courier in the old days, or telegram. I don't know, because these systems have been in place for a long time. But each village has little committees that go around and they send samples off to the Champagne Bureau, and the scientists look and they decide. And it's put everyone on a level playing field.
I love that.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Like I told you, I'm really interested in passionate. It's quite fascinating.
So then I guess if they have a weather situation, like an early frost or a late frost or something that impacts on a whole region, the whole region will be on equal playing field because of the requirements to not start at the same time.
Well, certainly with the growers. So that's where the bigger houses don't suffer as much, because they're buying in from different areas. So like you could have one village that's really severely hit with frost, and it's only the growers from that village that suffer.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, it's really intricate and monitored. But it is interesting. And these guys, Tendil and Lombardi, the Blanc de Noirs that we're tasting now, they are growers, but they don't own their own grapes. So they lease grapes from someone.
So they buy grapes in, or they
they lease the land that's got grapes on it, the vines and everything, and then they manage the whole process. So they don't actually own the land, but they're leasing it and managing. The two guys who are very passionate about champagne and wanted to make their own champagne, because they're so passionate, they're quite stringent in their quality and what they're looking for. And so I think it's really interesting because it's different to the ones that it's been in the family for generations and generations, and this is just what you do.
Yeah.
To come along and be the new kid on the block and try and make your own champagne's a little bit hard over there. But they've come in, the champagne's being served in a lot of Michelin star restaurants all over Europe and America. And Daniel Blue, you've heard of him in New York, he's got these champagnes on his wine list. And it's really champagne that's been made to enjoy while you have a meal.
Right.
So I respect their passion. I've tried all of their cuvées since they started. They only started in 2007. I think the first grapes were grown. So the first cuvée that they made, the first one which released was 2010.
Okay.
And they've scored over 90 points in Wine Spectator for every cuvée since. So they're doing really, really well.
So you said this is a good one, a good one to have with food. Any particular style of food?
So you probably wouldn't want to have anything too delicate with this. So the lighter seafoods and things, probably too light with this. So you can start having something like duck.
Okay.
Blanc de Noirs is really good with any truffle dish.
Okay.
And that's because there's some truffly flavours that also come through in there.
And what about with, say, Asian flavours or stronger spices?
It's really hard to find champagnes that go with Asian flavours. I actually tend to like rosé with the Asian flavours, the drier rosés with them. That seems to work better. I wouldn't necessarily have that one.
Okay.
It's lovely with it is actually, having said not seafood, but langoustine.
Okay.
Because that's a bit of a stronger
Strong
one.
flavoured.
Stronger flavoured. But funnily enough, I don't know if you realised when we had lunch, the bottle's obviously not quite full now, but since we were having the champagne, we were having a nice steak.
Yes.
And it's hard, I didn't want to go and find a bottle of red wine because they had these champagnes open to taste with you. And I thought, well, the Blanc de Noirs, it's got more body and it's quite...
And that went really well.
And actually, surprisingly, I wouldn't go specifically and say have a Blanc de Noir with the steak, but it worked. And I think the veggies that we had this summer, sauteed vegetables, capsicum and mushrooms, and they were flavours that go with the champagne as well. So I think as an ensemble, that worked.
And I think that's really good for people who don't like red wine or who are having a steak with lunch but don't like red wine with lunch, because I know if I have a glass of red wine with lunch, I'll be snoozing in the afternoon, which is fine on a Sunday afternoon, but not if I have to go back to work.
Yeah. So the Pinot Noir, and I'll just leave you with this one little thing, it has a lot of berry flavours and things. Now, whether or not you can pick up the berry flavours, your palate picks up those flavours at different parts of your palate. So the flavours that come through in a Pinot Noir tend to concentrate around the front of your palate. So if you sip that and swallow it, even though you do feel a bit at the back as you swallow it, when it's all disappeared from your mouth, there's this concentration of flavours behind your teeth.
There is.
Can you feel that?
Yeah.
So that's an indication.
That's really interesting.
It is, yeah. And so that's Pinot. That means there's Pinot Noir in there.
Oh.
So there's nothing back here that's staying back here, and it's
It's all on my tongue.
I mean, if I was a scientist or doing a PhD, I'd probably try and work out why those flavours. But it seems to be Pinot Noir is the front of your mouth, Pinot Meunier is in the middle of your palate, and Chardonnay is right at the back. And
I reckon somebody probably already has.
They probably have. They probably have. I find it fascinating. It was an aha moment for me when I realised there was different areas in your mouth that you tasted it.
Particularly when you're doing a blind tasting, it would be a big key to working out where does it, what way does it.
So that's the main thing. Pinot Noir is there to add body and structure to a champagne, and it's got sort of red berry flavours and things. So that's.
I really like it.
Yeah. Okay.
So where can people buy that one?
So this particular one you can buy independent liquor stores. It's mainly only in Brisbane, in Australia at the moment. You can buy it through the truffleman.com.au for information, and I'm hoping to get it out to some more independent stores nationally. There's also available at Aria Restaurant. They've got it as well, which is nice.
Our next question.
I'm getting there.
Nice.
I'm getting there. So no, I think it's just one of those things that I love about the small ones. Once people taste it, it's getting people to taste it because they think it will sell if it's a brand.
Yes.
But once they taste these grower champagnes, they love them and they realise how well it goes with them. Well, enjoy. I hope you learned something about Pinot Noir today.
Thank you very much.
And I'll have you back another time.
That would be great.
Thanks, Mel.